But at the end of the day, who is your responsibility actually?
My immediate family.
I can add myself to that lineup.
No,
now.
you
Just
can't.
say,
You can't be.
I'm an immediate family. I'm your podcast family now.
You don't want to build.
Why not?
Why should you build?
Because you are available to be built.
Who
Maybe.
Are you? Who are you to be?
Black tax is part of life.
It shouldn't be part of life.
Shouldn't be.
It shouldn't.
Why shouldn't it be though?
Why should it be? Because it takes a toll on you as a person. If you are the financier and at the end of the day you are unable to even develop yourself, it becomes a problem.
What's up?
Man, I'm cool though. Chop knuckle.
Facts. This knuckle that we are chopping here, I just
Chop
remember something.
Are you a man now?
I just remember something that I was going to ask you for one urgent 2K before this podcast started.
As what now?
I don't
understand.
You know, as billing concerns and all that. Yes.
I have my responsibility. Don't come and add your own at the end of the day.
But at the end of the day, who is your responsibility actually? These responsibilities you're talking about, who are they?
Yeah, I think my responsibility, if you ask me, my immediate family.
I can add myself to that lineup.
No,
now.
you can't. You can't be.
I'm an immediate family. I'm your podcast family now. What's that?
But you can't be. You can't be. Just chill. Let me answer your question. you are not in the scheme of things. But again, we can just go hang out somewhere. So that is not the urgent 2K you're asking for.
No,
but we can still hang out.
The urgent 2K I'm asking for is actually a form of billing, like, taxing you.
You don't want to bill me.
Why not?
Why should you bill me?
Because you are available to be billed,
Who
maybe.
Are you? Who are you to me? Yeah, but answering your question, I think that my immediate family are part of my extended family, which includes my parents,
podcast co-host.
Sometimes. I'm never going to add you to that because there's budget for everyone.
Wow. I've just been slide, people.
Okay. Yeah, basically. So that's even sometimes extended families, billings just come out from nowhere. They come out from nowhere. And sometimes you're having to fight between should I do or not? Have I exceeded my cap for the month or not?
Exactly.
And at other times, it's basically you don't have a choice because, it's an African setting. You still have the responsibility, whether it is at cutthroat time or something, or you just have to do it. Yes.
So truly, and you talked about it, and just by way of definition, when we say urgent 2K, that's like an urgent request for billing.
Yeah.
And 2K is like a very convenient amount.
2,000.
Used by Nigerians. Yes.
2,000 is not 2,000 because again, if somebody ask you for 2,000 naira, and then you send them 2,000 naira, be rest assured that they are going to call you back and ask you, why are you sending me 2,000 naira for crying out loud? But I think that it's relative just symbolic.
It is relative.
Okay, it's symbolic because sometimes when they say urgent 2K, it's like, I'm not asking for a huge sum or huge amount of money, but that's something that you can naturally just give without having to break the bank.
True, yeah. I agree with that, and it also makes a lot of sense because
don't bill me.
But you still be billed anyway. We need to find a way to slot me into this lineup of your family, your important obligations.
Have you been billed?
Oh yes.
Okay.
Nephews and nieces, hi.
So we're talking. I think today, what are we discussing?
Black tax.
Woohoo!
We are whooping for this topic, but it's not as sweet as all this, because black tax can be very, very draining.
I totally agree with you.
Like, so in the beginning it was a form of assistance, something, especially, let's look at it this way, the guys who traveled out of the country, went for greener pastures and suddenly have access to more disposable income, trying to lend a helping hand to the people back home, the guys that they've left behind, the people who are dependent on them, as it were.
Yeah.
So there are certain obligations. Okay, the family needs to do something back home. Maybe there's some event or some important project, or the family is building a house or something along those lines, sending people to school, that kind of thing. Important family projects. So the onus now falls on the person who is perceived to have higher economic advantage by leaving the country to send in money to the guys who are left behind, which is the origin of black tax. Well, that is in the African context.
Yeah. Like, I totally agree with you. I think that we cannot forgo African culture, right? And its complexities, basically.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Right.
I agree with that.
Yeah, and you know that family runs deep in our blood. And we're known for a communal lifestyle where you have all for one and one for all.
Absolutely.
And way back, you see that even in our literatures, you would have read that the community will come together to sponsor maybe the most brilliant person in the community.
True.
To go to school and come back, and they expect that the person will then become a teacher to be able to teach the other persons in the community, especially how to read and write and all of that. So that communal lifestyle has always been part and parcel of African persons. And that is what is still trickling down, taking different modifications and all of that. Right? So, now we have black tax.
Yes,
and
we
people are
do.
beginning to say that, you know what, the burden is massive. The burden is really massive on some persons. And people are now beginning to ask questions. Should this continue? What do we need to do? And all of that. So I think that, like you said, it didn't just originate. We have our own version of black tax.
Oh, yes, we do.
And then the Americans also have their own version of black tax. One notable thing in all of this conversation is the fact that I just realized that the word actually originated from South Africa.
Really?
Yeah,
Interesting.
basically. So, yes.
South Africa, shout out to South Africans. Yo, so how did that happen though?
Yes, so like I said, the origin is from South Africa. And basically, it simply means the financial responsibility that a family placed on someone who is upward mobile. By that, it means that somebody who is well-to-do in the family takes the responsibility of taking care of the both immediate and extended family. Right, and you'd understand that the South Africa has a long history of apartheid, and you'd naturally find black tax in environments that poor countries that are poorer and all of that, and you have people who would then have to take the responsibility of fending for their younger siblings, family members. You understand that in this kind of environment, there are no insurance, social amenities are near zero, governments are not as responsive as is expected in advanced country and all of that. So I think that is it, and you know how they've been segregated for a very long period of time, and the only few ones there who are well-to-do then shoulders the burden of taking responsibility for other family members as a way of helping them grow out of that space, right? This is not limited or restricted to South Africa alone, right? But again, Nigeria is also there. Right?
Really?
Yes, of course. So when you can't talk about South Africa and not mention Nigeria definitely. Right. So Nigeria is also.
I thought it's normal things now. It's not like anything. Black tax is part of life.
It shouldn't be part of life.
Shouldn't be.
Why shouldn't?
Why shouldn't it be though?
Why should it be? Because it takes a toll on you as a person. If you are the financier, and at the end of the day you are unable to even develop yourself, it becomes a problem.
But you get the concept. So the concept is that you have an economic advantage already. So it's not a
how do you have
have
economic advantage if you are able to invest in your personal development?
But again, if you're sowing if you're sowing into your community, then you're also investing.
For how long? For
For
how
as long as,
long?
as long as possible. Yeah.
No,
So you
no,
send someone to school, the person goes to school, gets a good job, and then they're able to support more of the community. That's a plus for you.
it is not.
Really?
Yes, it is
Why
not.
not?
I don't think that. For instance, I should not be taking responsibility for that. Would amount to what I would call double taxation.
What?
Because first
Why?
of all, I'm already working, and there are tax deductions
Mm-hmm.
from my earnings at the end of the week or at the end of the month and everything. And one would expect that a responsible government would be able to provide the basic amenities um, for its citizens, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Which
I'm
means
following.
that,
Yes.
yeah, there are insurance cover.
Mm-hmm.
There is basic amenities as light, water, primary health care that can take care of certain things, and there is food.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that the food, free food for all, right? But basically, that people can access food and the food is cheap enough for them to be able to feed, right? And if you
Well,
have
well,
this kind,
well. Hmm.
if you have a responsible government, they should be able to create all of this, and that takes out the burden, which is the reason why I, Emmanuel, is
Oh.
paying tax, right? But in a
Yes.
situation whereby you're paying tax and the government is not doing what is expected of them, after paying tax, you still end up having to provide all of these basic things for your extended family. That is double taxation at the end of the day. And it puts a toll on you because
Hmm.
at the end of the day, you do not even have a savings. You can't even plow back your earnings into personal development. And you may not be able to rise beyond the level you are because you might just end up being in the same poverty bracket as every other person you are with. I think that for me is my take.
So, your take is very practical, but the thing is, your take is also not considering some other, what I would call social aspects of it. The first one being the fact that when you pay black tax, you consider it as something, like I mentioned earlier, something like an investment, right? So I'll explain what investment is. You're sending someone to school, maybe your younger one, your cousin, nephew, niece, or perchance, a younger relative.
Yeah.
And the person is able to be empowered up to the point that even as you yourself get older, they can provide some measure of support. I'm not saying that's the key objective, but it's part of the benefits of doing that.
Okay, I'm with you. Continue.
Yes. So the second thing is that in doing so, you've also racked up a good level of goodwill, right?
Mm-hmm.
And goodwill is important. It's not just in terms of finances, it's in terms of other things. It's in terms of the favor that you get from people. And I'm not saying it is an entitlement that, oh, because you've done this for people, they would necessarily be favorable to you.
Yep.
But it is definitely an open chapter. It is something that it opens up for you, right? And then let's even look at the impact on the economy itself. Paying black tax means sending remittance into the country. There is no government that doesn't enjoy income from remittance.
Okay, but
So that's a plus
we're
for
not
the
just
economy.
focusing on those who have traveled out
I get
of
you.
Africa or out
I
of
get
the
you.
country, right?
I get you.
Okay.
Generally, black tax is, aimed at those who have traveled, even those who are within. Okay, so we are saying within, right? If you empower people within, they are able to get jobs. They too will contribute towards the tax system of the country. So that's still a win-win for the government and for the citizens. You've been saying this since black tax, black tax, black tax. It's not that as bad as you are making it sound, though. Sure,
Really?
it's not.
Okay. Let's
It's
hear
not.
you. Okay.
Now, let's even talk about community development, right? You have people who are disadvantaged, sort of, and people are helping those people to not be so disadvantaged. So you find out that at the end of the day, community development leads to overall growth, which is what everybody is after. So if black tax wasn't a thing, and I'm getting to one aspect here. If black tax wasn't a thing, you won't find situations where people are in a community and they are all growing together. And I'll give you examples that even take us outside the African context. If you look at some other races, when they immigrate, like the Jews and, some other communities like that, you find out that as much as they are advancing the economies where they are, they're also growing their internal communities. You find out that those people are actually strengthening, and they have social and cultural rules around these things. Informally in Africa, that's what black tax is expected to address. It's just not a formal structure, but it's an extension of our cultural values as Africans, community, family, taking care of kin, things like that. That's what I really feel this is about. It's not so much about depleting one person's resources.
Can I again? I would ask you.
Can you come in? Maybe. Let me think about it.
Have you received a bizarre request?
Define bizarre.
Before?
Define bizarre.
A request you think that it is not necessary.
That's not for you to say, though.
I'm coming.
Okay.
Have you had a request where you were angered? Nobody is saying that having black tax and having a community, helping your community to grow, or transforming persons within your family to just so that they can even equal or come up to also earn is not good. That is not what I'm saying.
Okay.
What I am saying is, have you found yourself in a situation where family members they feel entitled to your money, your wealth, resources, and everything that you have labored for, and do not even sometimes don't even reason with you, can't even reason with you when you say, I do not have the resources to give you at the time? Have you?
So it's good that you talk about entitlement, because again, this begs the question of what exactly is entitlement. You might look at it from one perspective and say entitlement is you feeling that, oh, this is my uncle, this is my auntie, they are well off, so they should help me. But again, to get to your question, where do we draw that line? What really is entitlement? I think that is the question we should ask, really. And is it brought about by black tax, or is it just a general perception?
But I think in this context, we're looking at black tax from all ramifications, right? So we've established what black tax is as far as this conversation is concerned. We've also looked at it from the government perspective, right? And how it is affecting the persons who are providing this help and assistance to other family members, right?
Okay.
Right. My take on what entitlement is basically that people have chosen, some family members have chosen not to work by virtue of they have a senior, an elder brother or sister, auntie, cousin who is there for them.
That is the entitlement that you're talking
about. So that is one. So we're looking at it from this from that perspective. People are just basically entitled to your money. They make all sort of requests, from paying their children's school fees. You're not just taking. So we have instances where, apart from setting out a budget to say, okay, you know what, I am helping you develop your business, right? One is to say, oh, I need to be supported because I am developing my business. I need your support because I have ABC project that I'm working on. And then you can look at it and say, okay, I would plan towards it and be able to give you these resources to back you up. But other instances, you have people coming to you to say they haven't paid their children's school fees. So your responsibility now is not just to them, but to their offspring, which they've given birth to. And this does not just come once, twice, and they expect you to also put their offspring in your budget. Right? So for me, and when you say no, it becomes a problem, because families, there's even the umunna family, okay? So what I refer to as
What's umuna? Yeah, exactly.
There is a call for family meeting.
Okay. Oh, those. Yeah.
For your sake.
Yes.
And
yes,
people sit down to digress and even look at your earnings, your investments, ABC, and they accuse you of all sorts. Not forgetting, not knowing that sometimes you do not have the liquidity at hand, and that your monies and your investments are tied up in different assets. Right? So these people come to you and they call you, they label you, they call you all sorts of names.
But I don't reckon that.
And they even blackmail you up to the point that you practically have no choice than to even borrow to give to them. That is what I call entitlement mentality.
I don't reckon that people would first of all sit you down and ask you, what are your savings, what are your investments? I mean, I get your point, right?
But you cannot tell, because at some point, no. I'm telling you, yes. Trust me.
Has it happened to you?
Trust me.
Has it happened to you?
Trust me.
Has it happened to you?
Trust me.
Okay.
You can. Okay, so there are ways that I know that this is not a conversation for today, right?
All right.
Sometimes you can have immediate family members that you're very close to.
See,
we're
still talking immediate family members. Okay.
That you open up to, and maybe you can. Oh, okay, because you're very close, you'll just have this just offhand conversation and say, oh, okay, I think that I have these resources currently with me, and this is what I intend to do. Or you can even say, it could even be your immediate sister or immediate younger or elder brother or anybody in the family. Elder. Or someone you're very close to, and you say, okay, I have ABC investments.
I would have said something, but
okay. Yes. I have 1, 2, 3 investment in so place. I'm expecting 1, 2, 3 amount of resources, right? And this is where this and this is. And by virtue of that information that you have passed across, you cannot tell. You can't guarantee that that information would remain with that person. And it could filter to other sources. And by virtue of that, they put you down, tell you, okay, we know that you've just done this. We know that you just received ABC amount of money. How are you saying that you don't have these resources to give?
Well, so again, maybe it's not so much of surveillance like that. They can only judge you based on what they see going on the outside. They are not going to say, oh, because you just bought a new car, you have to give us this. They don't, for all intents and purposes, that car could probably have been bought on credit, right?
But nobody wants to know. So all they know is you've just come. You're just
using outward appearances.
It doesn't matter. For them, it doesn't matter. I don't know if you've experienced this, right? But for
maybe
them,
not to this extent.
Yes, but for them, it doesn't matter. That is the entitlement mentality, and it's not just that. That sometimes, like I said, school fees of offspring of those you've been taking, I can tell you categorically that some persons die from the burdens of other family members. They have heart attack.
So no doubt, but I'm just saying that it's not a total drill down, like nobody should be able to drill down to your finances up to the barest, each cent or each kobo, as it were.
Okay. You're in Africa.
Okay, but you're saying, okay, yes, so there's the African context.
Okay. Yeah.
Fair enough. So, let me put something to you about black tax. I know you always talk about, or you've been talking about how it is a disadvantage. But I put it to you, or let me say it more succinctly, I put it to you that one of the key advantages, a very, very key advantage is what? Community development. Think about this. You have a nice little community in some states, maybe some up-country states and all that, like the state you come from, which I will not mention. So, or some other states like that, right? Now, you have people contributing towards things like building schools, roads, hospitals, and all that. And I know what you're thinking. You might be like, oh, but that's the government's responsibility. It's the government's responsibility at a large scale, but think of the immediate. Think of things that need to be set up and think of the ways that members of the community can come together to ensure that those things are achieved. It's very easy. So imagine funding
Okay.
those things.
Can I say something?
Yes.
I have a community project now.
Yes.
Come and sponsor it.
Wow. Okay. Nice.
Come and sponsor it.
Nice.
Maybe it's just few thousands of dollars could do the work.
But it was also you who said I was not your immediate.
Hold on.
I'm not in the circle now, so why should I come and sponsor?
Okay, so I'm just well, yeah.
I'm not in the circle
since
now.
you are,
Why should I sponsor?
the reason is since you are supporting.
Yes.
That I think it's just best that I put you on the spot to see would you sponsor the project.
So okay, even
why wouldn't you? Why won't you want to?
It's not that I wouldn't.
Why,
I mean,
why
I
are
can't.
you reneging?
I'm not reneging. It's that I
because
can't. But you already said.
Resources.
But you already said. Let me just hide under that one. You already said earlier that. And then look at another angle. Okay, so for someone like you now, you'll be like, oh, let me help my 15 nephews and nieces, and do stuff like that. When you pay black tax, it basically helps them to have more disposable income, which in turn contributes to the local economy. Think of it, we are always talking about how we need to develop our respective communities, how African values are about community development and things like that. That is one very key advantage of paying the black tax. So, uncle, make sure you pay up because you are building the community and you're making Africa a better place. Think about it.
That it breeds laziness.
Lazy what? What do you mean by laziness? How?
It breeds laziness.
How?
And I'm using that, and I chose that.
That's a strong word. Why would you even say that?
Laziness. Because we have a society and people who are not ready to work anymore, just because they can easily draw funds from those who are toiling day and night to make ends meet. And I'll give you instances. Sometimes people will have issues where people don't even go out after their education. After the education service year, especially in Nigeria and possibly I think Ghana, they just sit back at home. Why? Because there is one uncle somewhere who is constantly sending money. And I tell you what these people do. And sometimes if they are unable to get the funds from you directly, they use your parents. And you're like, mommy, you just hide on phone like, mommy, call uncle now. Tell him to send you that money. And these parents indulge them by basically picking up their phone and calling you and saying, hey, Emmanuel, how are you now? And then you say, mommy, I'm fine. Oh, what's up? What's happening? You say, do you realize that money you sent to me that day, I have exhausted it. And in fact, we are doing something. The community, our meeting people have one or two things to do, and I'll be needing. Just send me on maybe 100,000 naira,
Emmanuel,
or 20,000 CDs, or 10,000 CDs. You understand?
Emmanuel,
or maybe 500 rands. Just so that we can take care of. I can. So you don't want you are my son. You don't want your mom to look as the only person who cannot afford this now.
Well.
And then you look at it and say, okay, mom, I'm going to send you, and then you send the money. Guess what? They just look at each other. Maybe your sibling or just look and they laugh. They collect the money. They share. They could take, or maybe your younger one can just say, thank you, mommy, collect the money and then go and use it for whatever it is that they are using it for. And I'm not just saying this because I just want to drive it in my point.
Okay.
But these are things that are obtainable in the society. It's a one-on-one experience that I've also had, right? And it's the reason why I'm saying that. And I've seen them. I've seen this occur. I've seen this happen. And it's the reason why I'm saying that, you know what, this thing, however good you might see it to be, there is the bad side, which is that some persons are becoming lazy by the day, and they don't want to take responsibility for even themselves and their lives.
Well. So while I wouldn't totally disagree with you, I would like to think that this is the exception rather than the
It
rule.
is not.
And it's
But
not
it
enough
is in
reason
this
to
society.
say you're
It is
just
in this
saying
society.
breeding laziness. There are just a few people who are
It is in this
statistically
society.
lazy compared to
We
the
don't
wider
have the
society.
data, so
No,
you
we don't have
cannot
the
say.
data.
But you
We don't
cannot
have the
say. But
data.
you cannot say.
But we know that is not everybody. That
Yeah,
is
I'm not
lazy.
saying it's everybody.
It's not everybody
but you
that is
cannot,
lazy and entitled.
if you take your data sample, if you take a data and then you check the sample now, you'll be amazed at what the results will look like.
Okay, let's take the data. Drop it in the comments. If you have
what do you
received black
think?
tax,
Okay.
are you lazy or not?
Yes, just to wrap up this conversation,
Yes.
right? I think that again,
Wrap up.
I'm going to say that the government needs to do more in our society. These are no longer sustainable because people need to grow. People need to be able to build on their worth, have worth, create worth for themselves, and be rest assured that when they grow old, they would have something to fall back on at the end of the day. And having this tax, right, would not help people to be able to invest during their working age enough to take care of themselves when they are old, so that at the end of the day they don't then have to start relying on their children as well again. And if the children are not well to do, they are doomed. Okay, because again, we've had instances where people take care of their siblings, and in their old age, none of these siblings even takes care of them. Some even deny the help, the assistance that have been given to them. So my point is, the government needs to do more. The basic amenities required for people to thrive, the enabling environment, quality education, and all of that has to be provided. And we need some some amount of free education, either in the kindergarten, primary education should be free, and technical education can also be there, where people, if they cannot move on to maybe the colleges, polytechnics, and all of that, they can have a trained skill that they can leverage on, and which would take off the burden from some persons who have been able to climb the ladder, maybe middle class on, and all of that, and so that it creates the opportunity for them to be able, at the end of the day, take care of themselves in their old age. That is paramount.
Plenty of grammar spoken.
It is on this note that I close.
Pay your black tax though.
So it's not as if your points are not valid, but I think that the disadvantages also tells on the society, and it's something that we really need to look into, because those who are providing this assistance to people also need to live in their old age. And we've had people, and that is why there is GoFundMe everywhere now. Where people who have labored for others are not properly taken care of. So you don't have the elders' home where you can have these people and then the government taking care of them. So for me, the government has to provide the basic amenities for these people, for the society, so that it takes off the burden. So if I know I'm paying tax, it's just one tax that I'm paying, and at the end of the day, I'm able to save or invest in things that can take care of me when I'm aged, right? We cannot overlook that. And I don't want a situation where people will be doing GoFundMe, GoFundMe for me when I have issues in my old age. I should be able to take care of myself. I think on that note, that is where we are wrapping it up for this
for your
episodes, right?
Yes, exactly. So I think it's important to take these things in balance, So you have the one side where you have, these are the disadvantages, but let's not forget that it's not saying necessarily that people need to impoverish themselves just because they're trying to fulfill black tax obligations. There have to be more stringent, or is that the right word? No, there have to be more practical ways of looking at it. Look at all the benefits we talked about, the empowerment of the community, empowerment of the economy. There are so many advantages. So at the end of the day, what we need to consider is, while we're looking to government to play its own role, we also need to be sure that we can play the part that we play to ensure that our communities develop. So that's it.
That's it.
We've done another one.
Yeah, if you love this episode, please subscribe, share the link, and let us also know your thoughts in the comment section.
Cheers.
Bye.
Till next time.